Adieu, que la guerre est jolie, avec ses chants, ses longs loisirs. Cette bague, je l'ai polie. Le vent se mêle à vos soupirs.
Breaking news, listeners. An unmarked black helicopter has just landed in the sports fields. It's not one of our own helicopters, as those bear our school's owl crest and are outfitted with expensive weaponry to fend off zombies and any outsiders attempting to seek refuge within our walls. It's also not one of our supply helicopters that our benevolent corporate sponsors send to us, for although those helicopters are also black and unmarked, they only come on Wednesdays. No, listeners, this is something new. I am receiving reports that the university's mercenary police are approaching the vehicle with caution. What's strange, listeners, is that no one and nothing has excited the helicopter since it's landed. And it certainly landed, as opposed to having crashed, which means that there must be a pilot inside. More on this situation as it develops. After yesterday's incident, public printers in the library are once again available for student use. The Musalaki Tech Department has issued a stern warning reminding students that the printers are a shared responsibility in the community and are a privilege, not a right. The department also warned that just because students can imbue a printer with demonic presence, use it to power a small death ray, or photocopy inappropriate body parts doesn't mean that they should. And the next incident shall lead to more severe repercussions for both the individual student and the university at large. We have received reports from the astronomy department today where professors are studying the recently discovered comet, officially named after visiting Professor Tardigrade. It appears that a section of the lab wall collapsed following an as-of-yet unexplained flash of light. Inside the rubble was found an unidentified piece of metal with the words, "They're coming," painted in dark red. The fragment has been sent to the forensics department for further analysis, and we may have more information for you later. Well, listeners, the helicopter situation has been resolved, though it remains somewhat of a mystery. The university police follow procedure number 27, which to us civilians is known as rock, paper, scissors, to choose one officer to approach the helicopter and open the door, while the rest of the squad backed her up. Brave Officer Harris did as the procedure dedicated and quickly swung open the door, trained her automatic assault rifle on the entrance and whatever may come out of it. But there was nothing. When the officer searched inside, they found no creature, living or dead, in the cabin. They did, however, find quite a lot of blood and a mysterious silver liquid sprayed across the controls and the windows and pooled in the seats. The science department has collected samples of both the blood and the silver liquid, which they will give to their chemistry students to analyze for the known pathogens and other elements as a part of their assignment this week. We should have a report on this by the end of their grading period on Friday. The good news is, listeners, that Musalaki University has a new helicopter with a nearly full tank of fuel, and it is completely functional and undamaged. Well, unless you count bloodstains as damage, which, as a matter of policy, the university does not. Listeners, I have decided to take a moment to talk to you all about some personal issues. One of my best friends on campus is really struggling this semester. She's starting to behave rather erratically, and I'm just worried about her. I think I might have to talk with her sometime soon.
Message from the President.
Light on the Hill by Zachary Bernstein. It was on a dark night that I sat upon a hill. I plot myself alone, traveler in a land not so distant, for liberation is deceptive. My shadow follows my footsteps, notwithstanding my will, but anger's vengeance dost wane from the parody, and in this sense my patience rewards me. The hill is dark, and I am alone with many characters. One thought breaks silence, and thus the candle I hold is lit, and it is now my turn to take watch. I sit on the hill, surrounded by darkness on summer's coldest night, and my candle's flame is warm. It dances in between my fingertips, yet to burn me is not improbable but impossible, for we are one. I the guide and watcher of the flame, it the sustainer of my eupepsia, 'Twas I who decided so sagaciously that the flame should depart in scope, the darkness enveloping our island, our world. As I opened my hand and exposed its pyre, my innocent flame shuddered. It retreated to itself as the cold wind eagerly vacuumed our warmth, and what remained was blue of faintest and sincerest light. Wrapped around its wicker, the flame, just about dead, looked back into me. I knew in this moment that it wasn't ready. I clasped the flame in my hand so it could breathe my support. Almost instantly, my candle's flame illuminated the darkness, and our spot together on the hill was still our island in an ocean not meant for travelers. In dismay, I contorted my hand so that the flame would follow my guidance. Yet grow stronger it did not. My fear that the flame would never overcome the darkness only confirmed my efforts to bless the world with this light, for I believed no other could do so. The wind grew stronger, testing our hope. There was truly no escape, no solution to be found, solely within ourselves. My flame was overcome with the blighting evil, and diminished once again to its essence, blue. It was in this moment that I felt a change. I thought myself alone, yet I was not lonely. My light and I glanced over, and saw an island with a fellow traveler. The traveler saw us devoid attack, and leaned over to join our island as one. With that candle and its flame, burning just as mine, together the wickers joined and sprung forth. That certainly amounted to more than its two parts. The traveler, my friend, was scared as I. The world around us was of darkest night, but our island, our world, was just that much more bright.
Well, students and staff, I have some puzzling news to share with you. Some of you may remember from last week that I agreed to stop by the Daily Hoot to meet with Jimena, a first-year and aspiring journalist. This morning, I made my way to the Daily Hoot office, and she did not seem to be around. I waited a few minutes before asking one of the students working there if he knew where Jimena was. Listeners? His skin was paler than the Musalaki normal, and he told me Jimena was no longer affiliated with the Hoot. I asked him about the kind of work the Hoot does, and if he was helping Jimena with her future on the student council. With sweaty palms and chattering teeth, he told me the Daily Hoot reports only the most accurate information of the stories, and I quote, "The sort of reporting we work with is the sort that would be most beneficial to Musalaki students. Like any changes of the academic policy, school events, uniform regulations, or power outages. We found Jimena's investigation into the student council to be unsustainable and distracting to her work in the food reviews. So we asked her to take a break from the Hoot." Ladies and gentlemen, in exchange for promoting the Musalaki Undead Equality Roundtable Monday night in Harbor Hall, Contact in the Forensics Department has provided me with an abridged analysis of the metal fragment from the astronomy lab. And let me tell you, the parts I understand are quite disturbing. Telemocarbonic dating suggests the fragment was common steel. Specifically, the same metal used in the interior of the wall. While vandalism itself is no laughing matter, the piece appears to be several weeks older than can be explained, and no damaged section of the wall can be reported. Even stranger, the red paint appears to be organic, likely blood, but unfortunately, not human. Or at least nothing recognizably human. Fellow students, I don't know what this means, but as soon as I have more to report to you, you will be hearing from me. Listeners, something odd has just happened. A few moments ago, someone pushed an envelope underneath the door of my recording booth. This is especially strange since I am the only individual on campus with clearance to this section of the media center. I looked outside to try to ascertain the identity of the individual who gave me the letter, but they have mysteriously disappeared. Listeners, let me describe the envelope for you. It is unmarked, yellow, and smells faintly of nutmeg. Inside there is a letter written in what seems to be pre-fall German. It's coarse, smelling of vellum, not paper. Well, my archaic German is a little rusty since my days abroad. But here goes. Listeners, I'm not sure if I'm comfortable sharing this with you, but I feel it may be my duty as your host to do so. Dear Justice, that's me. There are others. I've found it. I understand what's happening. I will be back. Wish me luck. And then there's this word I don't quite understand. Zinshut. Students and staff, I will be looking into this further if time permits. Wherever Jimena is, I hope she is safe and within the fence that guards us all. Although it doesn't seem like she's going to get quite the average first-year fall she was looking forward to, I have faith in her. We will see her again one day, and I'm sure she'll have quite the story for us.
Adieu, voici le bout de ciel. Il disparut dans un tonneau, et mourut là-bas tandis qu'elle priait au destin surprenant.
Good Morning Moosilauke is a podcast created by the Tufts Podcast Network. Good Morning Moosilauke is directed by Aidan Brown in Sydney, BC, and written by Aidan Brown, Sydney, BC, Giles Bullen, Miranda Fall, and Melissa Fato. The voice of Good Morning Moosilauke is Justice Washington, a current Tufts student and voice actor. Sounds used in the making of this episode are Out of the Skies, Under the Earth by Chris Zabriskie, and Is That You or Are You You? Also by Chris Zabriskie, and Midori by Beat Culture. All of these songs can be found at freemusicarchive.org and were modified for this episode. The intro and close poem for this episode was L'Adieu du Cavalier by Guillaume Apollinaire. This week's message from the President is Light on the Hill by Zachary Bernstein. See you next time, and thank you for listening.